Guys, pat yourselves on the back right now, okay? Let's do it.
He became belligerent, abusive, defiant, defensive. Not righteous indignation, but actually self-righteous denigration was what I felt like we were hearing.
Well, I think I've been toned down. You want to know the truth? I could really tone it up.
I rejected those answers. I chose something different. I chose the impossible. I chose Rob Rants.
That's right, I chose Rob Rants, and so should you. I'm a little shocked that I'm where I'm at right now. Speaking to all, I was going to say 6, I'm going to say 7. I'm feeling particularly arrogant tonight. I'm shocked to be back here speaking to all 7 of you, because you all heard it same as I did. I put out the pilot episode 1, The Phantom Hate Crimes, and I was fully expecting this line of individuals trying to get a piece of this, you know what I'm saying? Like media group representatives and these shadowy wealthy benefactors and government officials. I've got nothing. No one's trying to buy me out. I'm offended. I'm insulted. So until that happens, I'm going to keep coming back. So welcome to the show, everybody. I got some big news, actually. The extensive research that Rob Rance has done has yielded that the professionals say in these situations where you have a creative project, an endeavor, something like that, you don't want to get caught up in the finite details of things that can be easily corrected or sharpened, improved upon, like a title or a soundtrack, editing, stuff like that. So I decided to ignore these dummies and focused a lot of effort into coming up with an alias, because that's what the people want. It's like a fake name. I don't have that. I have like half of that. Since we last spoke, I've spent considerable time and energy traveling the earth from Guatemala to New Zealand in order to come up with half an alias. And that alias is Titus Jesus. Alright, so part 1 stays Titus. I've always liked that name. I can't explain why. Draw your own conclusions. Titus stays. We'll figure out something with Titus. Like that name. To all the Tituses out there, stay Titus. Titus. But part 2, I guess we'll make it flexible for now. It'll be relevant to the show. And part 2 in this particular episode is Jesus. Is that offensive? Is it blasphemous? Is it accurate? Yes. Okay. You see, I'm going to tell you a parable, like Jesus used to do. And for the heathens and the 3 edgy 5 me atheists out there, a parable is defined as a simple story used to illustrate a moral or spiritual lesson as told by Jesus in the Gospels. Well, instead of Jesus, you have me. And instead of the Gospels, you have the rants. Interchangeable in my humble opinion. But let's begin. The parable of the Friendly Caravan. Imagine you are at your home. Or perhaps you are homeless. Rob Rants is the official podcast of the homeless. Anyway, imagine you are at home. Ideally you have a spouse there with you, along with actual human babies, and not fur babies. And your phone begins to ring. You reluctantly answer, you wish they would have texted. Anyway, you hear a couple of unfamiliar voices with an unfamiliar accent, and they inform you that they are a couple counties south of where you live. They state that they are part of a small group. There's 8 people total. In this group, there are 6 men, 1 woman, and a young child. Titus Jesus is not a fan of this fictional sausage fest. Anyway, this merry band informs you that they are en route to your house. You may wonder why this is happening, but they answer in no uncertain terms. They are leaving their home. They want a new home. They want your home. Lucky you. But that's not all. Once they arrive, they don't plan on leaving. Ever. In fact, they intend on having you clothe them, feed them, and finance any and all of their wants and desires from now until eternity. That's nice. And that woman and that child that Titus Jesus previously mentioned, expect more. You see, this particular county that this particular group is coming from, as well as the other counties that surround it, have a higher birth rate than your own county. Yours is 1.886 children per woman. Theirs is 2.899 children per woman. Oh boy, I hope you have room for all these kids that lady is going to out. So by now, this happy group is through the first county and on to the second. But what do? Let's pause for a second and take an inventory on your home. You have the hypothetical spouse and the hypothetical children, and let's gamble and say that you have the hypothetical fur babies. Don't worry, there will be a Rob Rants episode on fur babies. Anyway, let's consider these factors in your life and in your home, and let's take them into account. It costs a lot of time, money, and energy to provide for the people you care about, to purchase food and clothing, to pay the bills, to pay the doctor or the veterinarian. All that in mind, let's add 8 more people into the mix. And these 8 people, they don't have anything other than NGO finance clothing on their back. You don't know these people. They're from 2 counties away, remember? And they have different values than you. They have different traditions from you. Their accent is different from yours. And that makes it difficult to understand just what the hell they're saying. You may have books in your house that you like to read. Your kids may have books as well. And you enjoy reading to them. You recognize how important literacy is. So does Titus Jesus. Blessed are the literate. Press numero dos for Espanol. Let's continue. So they've migrated into that first county. You may have contacted the police or an official in that county and said, so hey look, there are like 8 people or so from your neck of the woods and they're headed my way. Can you handle that? But they don't handle it. Instead, they gave those 8 people supplies. That was generous of them. And now they're in the second county. Uh-oh, same thing. You decide to notify the proper authorities and they gave them supplies for the last leg of the journey. Are they walking? Are they getting rides? Do these people even exist? Who knows? So this morning you wake up to a knock at the door. And as sure as Rob Rants is inconsistent with releasing new episodes, you've got 8 people outside your door. 6 men, 1 woman, and a kid. You can't help but notice the woman and the kid are the ones knocking on your door. They're out in front of the men. That's weird. What do you think of that? But this is complicated. What do? To make matters worse, there's somebody in your family, a relative, who lives in their own house but visits frequently. A dual status family member, if you will. They tell you the right thing to do is to let everybody in. You ask why. This particular family member tells you the people outside your door are hungry and they need help. They tell you your family would benefit from having these people who are different from you because change is good. Different things are our strength and shit. They even inform you that your home was their home originally and they went through the records at the county commissioner's office and found proof. Before you begin to question this shaky logic, you hear loud knocking and you look outside. You see a lot of fatties. Fat fatties. But some of them aren't as fat as the others, and maybe they started knocking because they're hungry. But then you remember, you have your own family members to feed. The knocking grows louder. These people probably want their kid and their future kids to go to the same school as your kid. The knocking grows louder. These people are planning on staying once they get in your house, and you don't know how much they're going to contribute to you and your family. The knocking grows louder. Finally, you decide to call the police in your own county. They show up, but they don't do much. They caught one of the 6 men trying to break in a window and told him to stop, but he didn't, so they sprayed him with pepper spray. Now the news crews have showed up. That dual status family member is talking to them. Wonder what that's about. The cameras are rolling. The knocking grows louder. Then you hear the doors start to creak. That group of 8 is done waiting. They're trying to break in. What do you do now?
I'd like you to think of border security just the same as your home.
Tonight, the first 800 migrants from the Central American Caravan are at America's doorstep.
The first wave of the migrant caravan arrived unexpectedly early at the U.S. border in Tijuana. They've been looking through the barricade, and some have been climbing it, teasing the border patrol on the other side. A few have even jumped, including today a woman carrying a baby. Migrants are continuing to stream up to the border.
I'd like you to think of border security just the same as your home, just the same as your home, just the same as your home, just the same as your home.